This week's channel message from the angels is, I think, such an important one, because here they are giving us a really deep understanding of what's going to happen during the 3 days of darkness and what we are meant to do during the 3 days of darkness. So I am very, very glad you're here to listen to this message, because I think this is just super important information that I think I would love for everyone who is on their path or not on their path to understand or to know this. If they're open to it, just because this is going to be such an important part about us embracing the new consciousness that is ours, that is coming for us. So welcome back to my channel, you guys, and I'm so glad you are here, especially for this message. So thank you so much, and for those of you who are new, welcome. My name is Ann Tucker. I'm a trance channel. I channel from the angelic realm, and I do that by raising my awareness as high as I can go, and then I stretch a little bit higher. I connect at the angelic realm, and I bring through messages and healing, which I share here with you guys on YouTube. And today's message is a doozy. It is beautiful. The frequencies in this message, I did record the actual channeling, so I recorded myself as I channeled this morning. So I woke up extra early, and the frequencies are just beautiful. I find them to be super, super uplifting and hopeful. I find that as I was listening back to the message and doing the transcription, I was just found it to be super uplifting. But it is. I think it is just they're telling us that during, and they talk a lot about the 3 days of darkness in this, but they're talking about what we will feel, how it will affect us, and what we are meant to do in terms of turning inward, and how critical that is. They say that this is all going to come on the heels of the flash of light, which I've talked about many times. A flash of light, it is not a nuclear explosion. It is from a star. It is a solar event that comes to the planet, and it lifts us. It raises our frequency. And they say there's no chance, by the way, there's no chance that you can miss out on the flash of light. That it literally is so strong, it goes around the earth, it penetrates. You could be down in a deep basement and it will still get you. So do not worry that you will miss the flash of light. It is for everyone. And they say it will bring us all the way up, but it can only take us, it can take us so high, but at a certain point we all have free will. And how do we go through the doorway? If it takes us up to the doorstep, how do we go through? And that is what this message is telling us. So super, super important, very specific and practical information that you guys need. And please do, anyone that you know that is receptive, please do share this with them. Whether you share the video or you just tell them about this, I think it would be wonderful of service, because we don't get there unless we all get there, right? We are one. So we want to try as much as we can bring everybody with us. So, so anyways, I hope you guys love the message. Thankfully, we pray to yourself. Thankfully, we draw into your hearts a semblance of peace, of understanding, of forgiving yourselves. Thankfully, we beckon to you now. We are grateful for all that you are, for all that you house and are becoming. And we wish to bring to you now an understanding of how you will form in the morrow, how you will transform from where you are now in the coming days of surrender to yourself, as you endow each moment with more trust of your soul. You will find yourselves drawing in and becoming something more hollow, shaped in unknowing. It is a sense of yourself as emptying, a void, an empty space, as if you are relinquishing all that came before. It is a sense of yourself as becoming more narrow and reclusive in your heart, as though you are listening intently for something that is coming. It is self, it is soul on the morrow, who brings time in a new way, transforming your experience of life. Within the heart space, the shade of new beginnings has already begun, and you are opening to your soul, and this has felt like conundrums, like the interplay of dark shadow and light upon a plane intermixing in violent expression at times within yourself, within your heart, and outside, external to yourself. There's the great juxtaposition of many things as the self calms itself for quiet, calms itself. All must be expressed on the way to transformation. All must be explicitly felt for its meaning. And your soul, in the days that are coming, finds its quiet, finds its solace. And within this space, gently held by ourselves, you will begin to experience the void of knowing, of understanding, a seldom seen sense of yourself as held within a blanket of disquiet, as if you have no meaning, as if the center of yourself is unimportant, though you are not, as if the quiet internal would expand and overcome the pinpoint of self. And we wish to explain to the self, to hold the self gently, to console the self in the void, in the space of the emptying of tomorrow, and remind you who you are is what is coming. It is not the self that is lost in the interplay and juxtaposition of all that you have felt. It is the new tomorrow that transforms the self. And as you succumb to surrender to the point, the avoidance separates from you now. And you find in the stillness, in the quiet, in the unknowing, a calm ensues, a quiet infuses you. And on the morrow, you awake to a newly centered beingness, awakening, transformed, as if in the sheltering of your heart that has been the norm, in the quieting away, in the seldom seen recesses of your soul where you have protected your heart. These set down aside, and a new day through the quiet draws you forward. But to the soul, to the self that you are today, the morrow seems a fragmented, indistinguishable, serene and quiet nothingness. And through the void, you must play. You must wait for the new day. Allow the self to feel the disturbing, for a moment, yes, disturbingness of the void. The momentary silence where all that you have known, let go. All that you have held on to tightly separates from you, and you allow the self to plummet into the depth of who you are. And from that space of allowing, all that is transforming moves through you. A violence of behavior is coming, a violence of shaking, of rattling, of exhaustion, a violence of all you must pass through. And this external to your heart shall shade the coming days. And within the self, there is only the stillness of your own rejection of all that has been fearful and separating. And into this space you must pass through, allowing all that is reflection and reflexive to be taken down like draperies on a wall that have been hiding your truth. And we wish to settle in your soul the knowledge that what moves through you is the elegance of self, the quiet instrument sung so softly, seldom recognized, and only in the stillness brought forward to you now, in the quieting days, to transform. And from within this space seldom known, the quiet exudes you, and you become something more. All that was is not forgotten. All that was has been endowed into the heart of you. All that you know, that you were, that you've loved, you carry into this separated space, the elegance of your soul. And as it broadcasts quietly, secretly, stilly within you, it combs through your being for recognition of peace, of surrender, of stillness. And here it vibrates and aligns itself and comes into resonance with the frequency of today and tomorrow, and yields for you a greater sense of unity with all things. It comes from the stillness. You must separate, you must relinquish what has been good and known and true, and lay the self down inside you into the space of nothing. And this we understand. We know the separation creates within you disturbing, disunion, disharmonious fear. And we allow this self, this understanding, that peace comes from relinquishing what has been the tirade of separation and disunion. But this has been familiar. This has been your place of unity and belonging. It has been through the external assumption of all that has been culturally significant to you, to what has been humanity. This relinquishing comes in the form of disquiet, fearful separation you do not like. And we wish to encourage you to feel into the heart, to trust yourself and your journey, to dive into the depth of the disquiet and find at the center the unification of your soul within yourself. To feel as you let go, surrender to the timing, to the knowingness of the all that is. And it comes upon you softly, if you listen. We wish to guide you gently through this process. The cocooning, the instrument of the light shall embrace you and draw you into itself, and rise, you shall be brought to the doorstep of this transformation by the illumination that graces your planet. But it shall not pull you through. It shall take you as far as you have relinquished self-guidance, control. Genuflect within you. Allow the self to relinquish. Subdue your thoughts of fearful resistance, and release what has been. Upon the entrance of this illumination that comes nearby, not far, allow the self to be held by us. All angels support you and draw you into the center as you rest upon the glorious fragrance of self. Remembering, yes, your truth, it comes in a whisper. And we are there, and we support you. But know the self, that this pause in resistance may form within you, and we wish to draw to you now the awareness that what has been disturbing, the disquiet, this dissimilarity from what has been continuity, here you must reside for a time. the 3 days of separation. 3 days of separation from what has been instrumental in empowering the united behavior of humanity. 3 days of calm, 3 days of quiet, 3 days of darkness, 3 days of stillness. And all that you are comes to be held internal. And within this space, unity comes but slowly. Therefore, we guide you. A semblance of remembering. We give you the breach. We form around you a semblance of remembering the stillness of uniting at birth into the harmony of the body that holds you. We gift you this peace. We gift you this peace in the separation that is coming to mold you, to hold you into the frame of reference, being guided back to your soul. Be aware, dears. The time is coming. Fear not the separation from the all that was. Become yourself in the stillness. Find within it your peace. Be yourself, your wholeness, your heart is ready to embrace the all, and peace comes for you. So, beautiful message, right? I mean, and the frequencies, like I said, that they're transmitting in these messages are like, I feel like they're just full of hope and joy and excitement too. There's several places in this where they repeat themselves, and when I read it to you guys, I don't say every word, but when you hear the live audio or the live recording, it's they get excited and the words come through and they say it a bunch of times. And it's just a lot of energy coming through. It's almost like my pipe, the channeling pipe is only so big and they're trying to fit a lot of words to it. And it just jars, you know what I mean? And so it comes in over and over and over again. But the message, I feel like they're saying, and I feel like this is super helpful, they're telling us that during, and they mentioned the 3 days of darkness, and which here they call it a bunch of stuff, the 3 days of surrender, the 3 days of quiet, the 3 days of separation. So to me, I really feel like this message, they're saying that the 3 days, there's going to be this period, and I think, this is my theory, is that it is that like the flash of light comes, like that creates the like volcanic disturbance. That could create the earth rift. This is me saying that, not the angels, but I think that will create in the world, like they've said before, that we will lose all communication, like everything shuts down. So imagine like no social media, no phone working, like literally we are separated from the outside world. And we are in silence and stillness. And they're telling us that this is the time to go internal. And they're saying it's going to be disturbing to us because the light will start, we will be shifting, changing dramatically during this time. And they're saying it's going to bring us right up to the doorway. But we have to, like, it will be tempting for us in this period to be scared because we'll be so used to our connectivity, which has been all technical, right? All of our connectivity to one another that we achieve through the technology, all of that will be shut down. And we won't be able to call, dial a friend. We won't be able to. We will have to sit with ourselves, and we are not in that practice generally. Humanity is not in that practice in general, right? How many people do you know that when they're home alone, they leave the TV on all the time to fill the silence? And so we're just not used to silence. How many people drive with the radio on all the time? Because it fills the silence. And what happens when all we have is silence? And so they're trying to get us to when this happens, they're trying to prepare us in advance to expect it and say, okay, when this happens, be aware that it might bring up resistance in us, that we might feel fear. They want us to be in a place where they say genuflect, like literally like as if in you, rather than feeling fearful about what's happening, you literally, it's like you just release all our desire to control, all our desire to hang on to things. That's the key. Like, wherever we are grasping onto that, like, because that's our human instinct, is when things get scary, when we feel out of control, we grab the wheel tighter. That is humanity, right? Like we try to control a little more. Either that or we go into hiding and we totally avoid, right? One of the two. Control, avoid, both of the things we do. So we pretend it's not there, we don't see it, we totally avoid it, we get busy with doing laundry or whatever we can to distract ourselves. So both of those behaviors are not engaging in the moment. Are not releasing to the moment, right? They're ways of trying to control the moment. They want us to recognize when this happens. It's going to be pretty obvious if it's 3 days of darkness. We're going to be pretty clear when we're in it. They're saying, don't be afraid. And that as we go internal, it may feel like we're losing ourselves. And that's the trippy part. This is the part, and I think we'll go through it and talk about it, but it sounds like they're saying that we will feel like we're losing our identity, losing ourself, it'll be like, oh my gosh, where am I in this sea of nothingness? And they say it's a void we have to move through. And it makes sense that every time I work with the angels and I understand what transformation is, it always goes back to like the butterfly and the cocoon, is that there is a period where the caterpillar has to turn into ooze. We have to go through that process of returning to ooze. And it's an energetic ooze, like we're not going to be physically ooze, but we will feel internally like ooze. We're going to feel like we lose our identity. We're going to feel like, who am I? It will be I think it doesn't matter how much we have practiced for this moment, I think it will be uncomfortable for us. Like, I think it'll be the whole definition of like and we might feel really disconnected from our connection to source. Like if you are really accustomed to feeling the angels, feeling your connection, we may lose that for 3 days, or maybe for 2 days, or during this period, we may lose it and feel like we're going in the wrong direction because we won't feel like we have any sense of direction. That's, I think, what they're telling us. And they're saying, don't fear that what that process is what we think of as the void is actually our soul. That's what they're telling us. We think we're lost in a void. In fact, we are now being embraced by our soul. And it is a process of shifting our perspective from the little me, which is the tiny little bit of identity behind the veil, to the big me, which is this larger part of myself that's outside, right? That's the goal. But we can't get there until we let go. We have to let go of the pinpoint at the center, and that is a scary thing because that pinpoint has been what it's been to be incarnated, right? That is what has kept us physically on the planet. That has been our point of reference for everything, every experience. That has been, ego. It has been identity, everything. And they're telling us that this process means stepping into a void where we let go of that. And it's going to be a scary feeling for a short period. But here's the cool thing, is they say the minute we let go of it, then a calm will overcome us. So it's not like we have to let go of it and just sit in creepy crawlies for 3 days. The letting go is the creepy crawlies. The getting ourselves, it's like jumping off a cliff. Once you jump off a cliff, you're just off. But it is the getting yourself to jump that is the part that is just, oh my gosh, right? Once you're falling, you're just like, okay, I'm falling, here I go, but yeah, getting yourself to do it. That's the period that we're working on right now. And then they say once we let go, then this calm will come over us. And it's literally like, I think of it as like opening a door. And we open the door and our soul comes in. And so I think there will be almost like an instant knowingness, which I think is what that sense of calm that will come over us is like an instant knowingness. But we just have to recognize what's happening to us, that we're not lost. We're not, we are separated. Yes, but the separation is we're separating from all that was. We're separating from all of our limitations, all of our karma, all of our, We're separating from our fear, from the old way of doing things. So we have to be willing to go through that separation. Yeah. So this is it's an amazing thought. And then they say that they're going to help us during that period. They say that they are going to be guiding us as we go through the separation. Once we let go, it's always about choice. It makes sense that they can only take us as far as the doorway to this shift in consciousness. And they say the light will carry us to the doorway, but that we have to be the ones that let go and surrender in order to move through it. And they say they will help us by bringing us the memory of what it was when we incarnated. the memory of basically surrendering to our physical body, of to going behind the veil, and bringing us back that memory to help us find our path, because and they describe it better here than what I'm saying it, but that they are going to be using that experience to guide us. And it makes sense actually, because it's a birth, it's a rebirth. So they're saying this was like a birth, and they're going to bring us through into this, and not the birth where we were actually born. I think it's the birth of our soul into our body, because a lot of us had really traumatic births. And that's part of the spiritual path. You often have a very traumatic birth. And so I thought, it's not that. It is the moment the soul released to being incarnated. And I think for all of us, that was an experience of release and allowing and all of that. And so that, I think, is the experience that this is a new birth. And so they will bring us that memory to help support us through this really wow journey that we are on. So the more I think about it, the more it is like we get to be metamorphosized in one body. And they have been telling us over and over again or they've told us a few times anyways, that we were born with basically two souls in one body. And the second soul, I think, emerges through this process. The second soul, it's still you. They say you still have all your memories, but this is you expressed in this higher dimension. So it is a higher you, a higher state of being you. So all of you, they said everyone you love, everyone, all of your memories, everything the same. It's just you expressed in a higher state of consciousness. Yeah. Wow. So it's like a new timeline. Think of it that way. A lot of people talk about timelines. Think of it as like jumping timelines. It's still you expressed in a new way, right? Amazing. So, so let's see what you guys are saying. You're saying, wow, it was raining all over my face. So beautiful. Oh, I love it. That's awesome. From the message. I love it. And and Amina, by the way, Amina is in Lisbon, Rebecca, so maybe you guys can connect. Wouldn't that be amazing? Daria says, I had a strong feeling that the 3 days of darkness are coming soon. There's a YouTube channel where information on the flash of light is channeled. Recently, information came in that the timing of the flash hasn't solidified yet. So there's lots of people talking about it. I'm definitely, and that's one of the things, when something's truthy because you hear it from a lot of places, and every channel is going to get a different lens on it. But when you look at all the intersection of all those lenses, you're like, ooh, truthiness. Yeah, super cool. Cheryl says, between my throat choking up, tear coming to my eyes, and the goosebumps, my dream last night had me closing the curtains and making sure the fire was on my stove. What a confirmation. Oh, wow, Cheryl. Isn't that phenomenal? That is phenomenal. Yeah, 3 days of darkness. There you go. Rodney says, please message. Oh, there we go. And then Mike says, here it is. Let me keep going. We are all, there you go, walking in. That's pretty much, we all have two souls within our body. Yeah. Erin says, I joined a little late. I will let you know for sure, Erin, about the retreat registration. We will for sure be contacting you, so you know. So, and it's not open yet, not yet. We are still getting all the details in. All right, so you guys, let's go ahead and break down what is what the different paragraphs and talk it through. And this message I feel like was really clear, but I want to just kind of hit the main topic points and pull out some of the really important sections where they're bringing us, I think, some really pivotal information. I do feel like this is so important, this message, because they're giving us, it would be really easy, like those of you who have gone through the dark night of the soul or gone through really any setback that we experience on our journey, there's a period you go through where you're like, oh my gosh, I've lost my connection. Did I go down the wrong path? It's so natural for us to self-doubt, right? And that, I think, is the concern of what may happen in the 3 days of darkness. We may feel like we got left behind, that something, we won't feel this, oh, like it's amazing, I feel great. We're going to feel crummy for a little while until we let go. And then we will feel great. But the crummy, we got to navigate the crummy and recognize, nope, this is okay. Just keep moving forward, release to the crummy, let go and accept the crummy so we can then let the calm come in, right? That's the key of this message, I think. So they start out, they say, thankfully we pray to yourself. Thankfully we draw into your hearts a semblance of peace, of understanding, of forgiving yourselves. So this is, here they're talking about it, this period. They're going to draw, thankfully we draw a semblance of peace, of understanding, of forgiving yourselves. This is what we're trying to help us get into this new state of consciousness. Thankfully, they say, we beckon to you now. We are grateful for all that you are, for all that you house and are becoming. And they say that all the time. There's no part of us even the mucky, yucky parts that they don't love. It is all blessed. It is all loved by the angels because it's all an expression of humanity. It's an expression of a soul. We have light and dark parts naturally, right? They love all parts of us. And we wish to bring you now to an understanding of how you will form in the morrow, how you will transform from where you are now. So that is what this message is about. They're describing for us exactly what we're going to experience when we transform, which is so cool, right? So here, the next paragraph, they describe the void, what the void is going to be in the 3 days of darkness. They say, in the coming days of surrender to yourself, that's what they describe it as. This process, the void, the 3 days of darkness, is meant to be about surrendering to ourself so that we can move into the higher state of consciousness. They say, as you endow each moment with more trust of your soul, you will find yourselves drawing in and becoming something more hollow, shaped in unknowing. It is a sense of yourself as emptying, a void, an empty space, as if you are relinquishing all that came before. So think about the feeling of that, right? And it's trust. It's going to take a lot of trust in our journey and in ourself, right? Becoming hollow, right? Shaped and unknowing. So it's literally like there's this sense of like letting go and releasing into something completely unknown to us, an empty space. Relinquishing everything that came before, letting go of our old state of being. We have to birth and rebirth while we are in the same body, you guys. This is not easy. And we got to let go of the first to move to the second. So this is, how do you move from one state of incarnation to the next? This is what they're describing to us. And we have to move through a void. Yeah. Then they say that they talk about that we're going to be listening. So this is how they say it. They say it is a sense of yourself as becoming more narrow and reclusive in your heart. So it's really a turning inward, right? As though you are listening intently for something that is coming. It is the self. It is soul on the morrow who brings time in a new way, transforming your experience of life. So brings time in a new way, I think, is a reference to karma. In the new state of being, we will experience ourselves, time, karma, everything differently when we are at that higher state of experience and living, right? Which is really exciting. But think about that as we turn inward. It is a listening, which is why I think we need the quiet. We need the stillness to do it in, that we have to be listening, but not just with our ears. It is listening with our awareness. Like, who are we becoming on the inside? What is there? That's the state of mind. So it's a very meditative state that we're going to be in. Even if you're about doing your things, whatever you're doing, that we will still be in the state of listening internally for what's happening inside of us. That's the state that we want to be in as we're going through this process. Listening with our awareness internally, not externally. Very critical. Like, I love that your dream you mentioned where you drew the curtains. It is shut out the outside, turn inward. That's what we're meant to do in the 3 days of darkness. Turn inward and listen with your awareness to what's happening inside of you. Yeah. Then they talk about that the process of opening that we're going through right now, the releasing. That's the word. They're saying opening is releasing. So we think of this time that we're going through right now with all this polarization as like we're going backwards. You know what I mean? In fact, the reason all the chaos in the world is coming to the surface right now is because we are in the process of releasing. That when you open, you think about letting the tiger out of the cage, right? It's going to go bonkers. Right? That's what we're doing right now. We are opening our hearts, opening ourselves, and releasing everything that's been stuck there. So within the heart space, they say the shade of the new beginning has already begun, and you are opening your soul. And this has felt like conundrums, right? Like difficulties, like the interplay of dark, shadow, and light upon the plane, intermixing in violent expression at times. Within yourself, within your heart, and outside, external to yourself. So this is the stuff we're going through personally, internally, where you may feel like you have sometimes very dark days or very dark periods as you're going through and as you have been going through the rapid shift in energies that we've already been experiencing. It may have been affecting you really deeply, right? But also look at the world. Right? Look at the wars, look at the violence that we're experiencing right now, look at the arguing and the polarization we have between people. So that's what we're experiencing. Then they say there's the great juxtaposition of many things as the self calms itself for quiet, right? Calms itself. So this is what we're trying to do, and we're releasing in order to calm ourselves. All must be expressed on the way to transformation. All must be explicitly felt for its meaning. So this is why the world is so crazy right now, why we have the poly crisis, is because we are opening. right? That if we had stayed all bottled up, all that stuff would still be in there and it would be nice and pleasant on the surface. But we got to open up, let it out. Everything, they say, all must be explicitly felt. And that's inside of us and inside and the world at large. Yeah. So we are, like, the fact that we are in a polycrisis is evidence of the fact that we are going through a shift in consciousness, is what they're trying to say, which I think is really cool. Maureen says, oh my gosh, I had a dream about closing the curtains too. Wow. Yeah, and Jim says, I am ready to, he says, lose myself, but L-O, and then ooze. Oh, that's awesome, Jim. Yeah, so awesome. All right, and then next paragraph, there's about losing the self. Yeah, okay, so then they say, and your soul, this is what we're going to be feeling like, how we're going to be losing ourselves in the ooze, right? And your soul, in the days that are coming, finds its quiet, finds its solace, and within this space, gently held by ourself, you will begin to experience the void of knowing, of understanding. A seldom seen sense of yourself is held within a blanket of disquiet, as if you have no meaning. And I think that is important. I underline that because they say, as if the center of yourself is unimportant, though you are not. So this is key because think about what we're transitioning to. We are transitioning to a unity consciousness. And so the fear, as you move into unity, is that it's like, think about the story they tell about the drop of water going down the river, entering the ocean. That moment of entering the ocean is, you're going to say, wow, all of this is not defined. Who am I within this great big space? If I take on the all, do I lose me? Right? And we love me. We love our identity. Like, we protect ourselves. You know what I mean? Like, even as somebody who has not loved themselves deeply in this life is still fiercely protective of the self. You know what I mean? It's like, because we have learned to understand, like, we have been living in a period of separation where we have been taught, many of us taught that we are the only ones looking out for we, you know what I mean? It's all those feelings that come from being an isolated body, separated from the outside world. We develop all these strategies to keep ourselves safe and separated. We have to let those down, let go of ego which says, who am I, right? And then we have to say, who are we? So this feeling that's going to come over us as we lay down all of our fear is going to be the feeling that we have no meaning. And this is temporary. They say we're going to feel like we have no meaning, as if the center of yourself is unimportant, though you are not. So this is going to be the feeling, and this is why we're going to feel like we lose our connections, why we feel like we've gone down the wrong path, you know, like we're going to worry that it's not going right, that we're not going to have this elated, like, whoa, feeling. It's going to be a little scary, disturbing for us. So they're saying it is as if the quiet internal would expand and overcome the pinpoint of self. And I love that they say the quiet internal, that we are going to think of this as something outside of ourselves. But they're saying it's not outside of ourselves. It is actually you. It is actually the larger you, the full self that's coming in, and it's going to feel like that's overcoming the pinpoint of self. But it's all you. It's just, imagine that your body is a bigger body, and you're releasing your focus, your concentration on the little you to see the bigger you. So it's a lot like if you're in a forest and you're looking at one individual tree and you spend your entire life studying one tree, and you're looking at it like in super detail, studying every little bug on that tree, every little bump on that tree, every leaf. And then all of a sudden you pull way back and you see the whole forest, right? And you recognize that you are in fact the whole forest. And you can still see the tree because it's right there, but now you see all the trees. So that's the feeling, and we have to let go of the fear of pulling back. That's what's going to be hard for us, and the angels are going to be super supporting us in that journey. But I think it helps. I feel like I am incredibly grateful for this message, because I think if I didn't know this, I would be freaking out when this happened. I would feel like, oh my gosh, I've lost my connection. What's happening to me? And they're telling us now what it's going to feel like, so that we're prepared, so that we go into this going, okay, I feel like I'm losing myself. I feel like I'm floating in the nothingness, and just to trust, to just go into it and recognize and realize this is the journey. I am in fact pulling back to see the whole forest. This is what I'm doing right now, but I have to let go of the tree in order to do it. Yeah. And then And then you're saying, Rodney says, wow, hard to imagine, but I plan to spend the 3 days of darkness in the present moment. Yes, that is, I think, exactly what we should do. Great plan. I find so much peace, comfort, and joy and love in that state. Yes, I think being meditative, just being with those that are with you, loving, being in a state of love, as much as we can bring in love during this period will be so helpful. Aaron says, oh, I heard that early this morning, I love you, loud and clear, so comforting. Oh, that's so awesome. And Mike says, what are we is the question for me, that we are in the whole, no longer fragmented. What are we is the question for me. What we are is the whole, no longer fragmented. Yes, exactly. That's exactly it. What we are is the whole forest. Exactly. Yeah, I think that's what they're trying to tell us. All right, so then they say, and I love this part, they say, as if the quiet internal would expand and overcome the pinpoint of self. So they're saying this is not the outside. It is not what's out there taking over your body. That's not what's happening. It's not that you cease to exist, which is what our fear is, right? The whole that we experience is actually us. It's an us that we don't normally tune into because we have been caught up behind the veil. Yeah. All right, next paragraph, they say, and we wish to explain to the self, to hold the self gently, to console the self in the void. So while they will be in the void with us, we will think we're by ourselves. In fact, they were like all the angels are there. Like it is like all hands on deck for this process. The angels are going to be right there with us. We won't feel them because we're going to be in this space of like transformational ooze, but they will be there, right? So know that. And you can talk to them when you're going through this big time and know that they are hearing you, right? That they're going to be helping you in any way they can. Right, they're saying that to console the self in the void, in the space of the emptying of tomorrow, and remind you who you are is what is coming. Yeah, so that is, they're going to help hold us, they're going to remind us that that is us. What is coming, this feeling of being lost into this outside coming in, which is in fact us. They're just saying it is us, that's what's coming. It is not the self that is lost in the interplay and juxtaposition of all that you have felt. It is the new tomorrow that transforms the self. Yeah. And then they tell us to release and feel calm. That's the goal. Is if we are able to release, and it may take us a minute, it may take us 3 days to go through this process, I don't know. But once we do, we will, it's like calm rushes in. So what they say, and as you succumb to surrender to the point, the avoidance separates from you now. And you will find in the stillness, in the quiet, in the unknowing, a calm ensues. A quiet infuses you. So we will know when we've done it, because all of a sudden we will feel this sense of calm, and then we will know we've made it through. Wow, you guys! Wow, like this is mind blowing, don't you think? I mean, this is mind blowing. It's literally like they're describing like it's a place we're going to, except it's not a place; it's a frequency. But we can think of it as a place. You know, it's so specific. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Like, wow, you know what I mean? And Erica says, transformational ooze, LOL. I know, right? Karen says, do you think that our bodies will change through this? I see posts about the body going from carbon-based crystalline, but I'm not really sure what that means exactly. I don't know what that means either. I think our bodies, I think over time, the human body will change. I don't think through this process, I think we will look the same. But I think we will be living at a frequency that is higher. So the only difference is I think that we will have a different relationship to our bodies, and I don't think we will be experiencing illnesses in the same way that we do now. Most of our illnesses right now are expressions of our karma. And we're not going to be living in a karmic construct anymore. And so I think our relationship to illness becomes different, very, very different. I think we could still fall and break a bone or something like that. But I don't think we will get like diseases in the same way, if that makes sense. So that is pretty awesome. I think that now they're really encouraging us to heal as much as we can, because once this happens, we won't be able to heal in the same way. Our soul will be the frequency that it is, right? And so now is the time that if you want to raise your frequency for all eternity, now is the time to do it. Like now is the time to clear out as much as you possibly can. Like right now, we've all been given a set of tools, which are like the most incredible cleaning supplies, and a set of keys to the Akashic Records. And they've said, have at it. Do whatever you want right now. Go in there and clear out every past life, every wound, everything that is in your Akashic Records. Go to town. And this is your last chance, because once we go through this feeling, right, we will still be able to go through healing, but it's going to be different. It's going to be a different world. Yeah, and right now we're living in the earth school where everything can conspire to show us ourselves. So yeah, so now when you go through healing, the whole world is helping you. And in the future, that won't be the case. So yeah, it's going to be very, very different. We'll have to learn to heal in a new way. So all of us, yeah. All right, so then they go on to say, and on the morrow you awaken to a newly centered beingness, awakening, transformed. So I think it's going to be like that, where I think we go through this process, we do our best to try to accept, to try to be in peace, to stay in love, to go internal into a peaceful meditative state. The calm will come in, we'll go to sleep, and we'll wake up and we'll be this new state of consciousness. Like, how incredible is that, right? As if, they say, in the sheltering of your heart that has been the norm, in the quieting away, in the seldom seen recesses of your soul where you have protected your heart, these set down aside, and a new day through the quiet draws you forward. So it's literally, all we got to do is let down everything that we used to be and all the ways we protect ourselves, which is so easy to say and so hard to do. But that is what we got to do through this process. Yeah. And the more we heal now, the easier this is going to be for us, because we will be used to it, right? We will get accustomed to doing this process of letting ourselves feel, letting ourselves go through this. Healing is almost like a practice run for this experience. Yeah. So the more you heal now, the better. Then they're telling us we have to go through it in order to get there. So they say, but to the soul, to the self that you are today, the morrow seems fragmented, indistinguishable, serene and quiet nothingness. And through the void you must play. You must wait for the new day. So they're telling us, like, yeah, there's no going around it. We must wait. So it might take us time. So we gotta just push through, right? We gotta go through the void. There's no getting around it. And so we got to go through this letting go period. And then they tell us it's going to be disturbing. They say, allow the self to feel the disturbing for a moment. Yes, disturbingness of the void. The momentary silence where all that you have known let go. All that you have held on to tightly separates from you. And you allow the self to plummet into the depth of who you are. And from that space of allowing, all that is transforming moves through you. So it's literally in the process of just completely releasing and allowing. It's literally, you open the door for your higher self to step in. And it's the same, think of that visual of being right up next to the tree and then zooming way back and seeing the whole tree. But that process of the zoom, right? Like that would be, if you weren't expecting it, that would startle you, right? It would be startling. Yeah. And then they say, so they're talking about now that there will be, as we go through this process, that we will experience violence in different ways. And that's sort of the polycrisis that we're in right now. It's internal violence as we're doing our healing. It is external violence. And I think this is increasingly as we get closer and closer to this experience, as the earth is trying to purge and we are trying to purge as much as we possibly can, things are going to get a little crazy, they're saying. So they're saying a violence of behavior is coming, a violence of shaking, of rattling. I think that to me sounds like the Earth Rift, which if you're not familiar with the Earth Rift, I can post the video in the comments about they've talked about it many different times, but I'll see if I can include a reference or the original video where I got that back in 2020. A violence of shaking, of rattling, of exhaustion. So they've talked about the energy of exhaustion quite a bit, they said that there has to be the energy of exhaustion, that it's like, think about like a city block, like in these war areas, is like brought to the ground to exhaustion. Think about the fires in Maui, brought to the ground to exhaustion. That there is an energy of exhaustion, that where we cannot do things halfway, because the point of this is we're trying to eliminate the power structures that hold us into the current state of consciousness, that form our current lives, that we have to burn things all the way down. Otherwise, we have seen, like, think about the 2008 financial crisis, that there's a financial crisis, and the people that end up okay on the other side are the people that are in power. That they take whatever resources are left and they burrow up or protect themselves, and they get themselves back on their feet before then they turn around and help anybody else. And that's great in the case if you're on the airplane and the oxygen mask, you're supposed to start your own flow of oxygen, but not great if you're a corporation. So if we don't boil them down to nothingness, then they will just reform again, is what they're saying. that they will just come back again. And those are not just companies. I'm not saying that corporations are all bad, because there will be some corporations that I think come through this that are working towards the highest and best good. That's the key. The ones that survive will be the ones that are trying to raise all boats in a rising tide. But it is any power structures that are working actively to hold us in an old state of consciousness for a variety of reasons, right? Yeah. And so they're saying that it has to be the energy of exhaustion, taking things down to nothing so they can't just build themselves up right back again, right where they used to be. And violence of all you must pass through. And this, external to your heart, shall shade the coming days. So there'll be craziness in the world, more crazy than what we are currently experiencing. And they say, and within this self, there is only the stillness of your own rejection of all that has been fearful and separating. And into this space you must pass through, allowing all that is reflection and reflexive to be taken down like draperies on a wall that have been hiding your truth. So really it is that the reflexive fear, right? When we see a lot of chaos around us, it is reflexive for us to experience fear. So they're really trying to draw our attention to that, to say it is natural as a human to feel fear when there's craziness going on outside of you. And they want us to be aware of that, and to instead go through this process of going internal, filling yourself with love, right? And think of it as letting go of that reveals your truth. It's a beautiful thought, yeah. And then Aaron says, I've been focusing on myself rather than kids and soon to be ex-husband. So I'm interested in the extreme widening of the field. Sounds like a huge embrace, yes. And you're saying it sounds like stepping through the veil. Yes, that will be startling and marvelous and beautiful and magical. I really think it will. Like when they talk about that, we will experience peace, calm that will come inside of us. I think that will be just the beginning of this new taking off the blinders to what is going to be our new reality, which is going to be incredible, absolutely incredible. Yeah. And you're saying it makes me think of the children's song, can't go over it, can't go under it, can't go around it, gotta go through it. That is the truth. Yes. Yeah. Next paragraph, they say, and we wish to settle in your soul a knowledge that what moves through you is the elegance of self, the quiet instrument sung so softly, seldom recognized, and only in the stillness, brought forward to you now in the quieting days to transform. And from within this space, seldom known, the quiet exudes you, and you become something more. So this is that ooze. This is the transformational moment, right? This is just think about this. This is so exciting, the quiet. So that's the idea. Go into your internal space. Go and use the 3 days of quiet, of separation, of darkness to go internal. And when you reach that quiet, only in the stillness, they say. So we can't get there if we're running around frantically trying to fix it. Like, let it be dark. Like, don't run around trying to fix the dark. Let it be dark. That's what they're telling. Only in the quiet. Right? Within this space, the quiet exudes you. So we want to seek the quiet internal, right? And then that's how we find and reconnect to ourselves. Then they say, all that was is not forgotten. So they're saying, don't worry as we go through this process about losing your loved ones or losing your identity even. They don't want us to lose. We will still retain our identity when we go into our new state of being. They want us to, as a matter of fact. That's part of the lessons of our last 1,000 years has been going further and further and further into separation in order to really solidify our sense of self so that we can not forget it when we go into unity. That's the goal. We want to carry the lessons with us of who we are and what we want and what we love, and all those things are important. So they say all that was is not forgotten. All that was has been endowed into the heart of you. So it's literally like written into your soul. Right? All that you know, all that you were, all that you've loved, you carry into this separated space. So you will still love all the people that you love now. Yeah. The elegance of your soul. And it broadcasts quietly, secretly, stilly within you. And this, I love this part. So they say, okay, so think of it, it's coming into you, it's infusing you with a sense of calm, and then how does it take root? This is super important. They say it combs through your being for recognition of peace. So how do we let in this new frequency? How do we become the new frequency? It's going to come through you, and it combs through you looking for recognition of peace, of surrender, of stillness. And here it vibrates and aligns itself and comes into resonance with the frequency of today and tomorrow. Boy, this could be like a movie. This one line could be like, there's so much here that I really want to focus on, because I think this is so important. that think about this idea that we open up to peace, or we open up to our higher self, to this new consciousness of ourselves, and it comes inside of us. But how does it grab hold? It has to find something in you that it can resonate with. And it's not going to resonate with fear or rejection or any of the stuff of our 3D consciousness. What it resonates with is peace, right? Of surrender, stillness, peace. That's where it will find connection within you. So let it in, yes, but how does it stay? How does it, think about what they said before about how it's going to be a lot like our soul coming into the body. How does this new soul come into the body? It has to resonate with the body, so the body has to be in peace, right? It's, wow, like so many, like, boom, my head is exploding. So that's the idea, that we have to be holding the frequency of peace. We have to be in stillness. We have to be in peace internally. We can't be in fear, because otherwise the soul will come in and it'll be like, how do I stay here? How do I latch onto this body, right? So once it does, it says that, wait, where is that paragraph? So they, I didn't want to lose this part because it was so cool. Where did it go? Okay, there it is, of surrender, of stillness. So this is the frequency it's going to be looking for. And here it vibrates. And the reason it's looking for it, we call it looking, but in fact, it's just like any vibration, that it will naturally vibrate with things that align to itself. So we can think of it looking for it because that's how we operate. But your soul is coming in as a vibration, and it has to match your body vibrationally. So we want to be holding peace, surrender, stillness. And here, when it finds it, it vibrates and aligns itself and comes into resonance with the frequency of today and tomorrow. So in other words, think of it as like this now moment. Think about how fast time goes by. Like every minute, a second is flying past us. Like time is in motion. And imagine your soul is trying to land into this body to line up with you exactly in this time and space too. It has to connect with this exact little pinpoint of moment. So that's not an easy feat. It has to, and it does it by coming in this moment as you surrender. It finds that resonance, that frequency, and then by doing that, it can latch onto this exact expression of you in this time and space, in this exact timeline. So that's the process that it has to go through. That's how it becomes born into your body, right? Your higher self. Wow, right? Totally amazing. It resonates with, and that's how it comes into resonance with the frequency of today and tomorrow, how it finds you, basically, in the all that is. How does it find this you, right? And then they say, and yields for you a greater sense of unity with all things. So the minute it comes into you and it finds its place, you let it in, it resonates, it does its thing, it's born, then all of a sudden it's like your whole consciousness expands. Right? Wow. Yeah. Amazing. But you are still there. You haven't lost yourself. You are just seeing from this higher perspective. Yeah. So amazing. It comes, they say next paragraph, it comes from the stillness. You must separate. So this is really 3 days of darkness. Don't go around trying to turn the lights off. Sit in the darkness. Let it be dark. Be in the state of love and peace and surrender. Then they say that's where it comes from. It comes from the stillness. You must separate. You must relinquish what has been good and known and true. Like even the stuff you love, right? Your favorite joke about your favorite chips. You're like, whatever it is, like let it go. And lay the self down inside you into the space of nothing. And this we understand. The angels say we know the separation. The separation creates within you disturbing disunion, disharmonious fear, and we allow the self this understanding that peace comes from relinquishing what has been the tirade of separation and disunion. So it's difficult for us to let go of it. But then they say, but this has been familiar. So they're saying like we're letting go of separation and disunion. But the problem is that separation and disunion has been familiar to us. That's what we know. So that has been the process, the state of being up right next to the tree. That's what we know. And so it's scary for us to let it go. And that's what they're recognizing here. They're saying this has been your place of unity and belonging. Like how have we connected to everyone else? By being separated. That's what we do, right? And so we have to let go of that. And then they go on to say, it has been through the external assumption of all that has been culturally significant to you, to what has been humanity, This relinquishing comes in the form of disquiet, fearful separation you do not like. So they're just acknowledging that that is not an easy thing to do. Yeah. And they go on to say, and we wish to encourage you to feel into the heart, to trust yourself and your journey, to dive into the depth of the disquiet and find at the center the unification of your soul within yourself. So this is the reward. If we're willing to go through that discomfort, this is what we find, right? This unification. To feel as you let go, surrender to the timing, to the knowingness of the all that is. They've mentioned time twice here, which is so interesting. I wonder if we will experience time differently. There was a video we did a long time ago where they said that we would be released from time. I want to go back and listen to that. Definitely. Because they mentioned it twice here about time being different. Wow. I think that was. I will find that video and put that in the chat for you guys, or put that in the box so you guys can find it. That is so interesting. Yeah, because I am remembering now, and at the time, a lot of times when I got the messages back when they first started coming in 2020 or 2021, I always thought they were like right now messages. And the angels talk about time as if it's always. So as they were talking about things, I always thought they meant now, but a lot of times they weren't. They were talking about 2 years from now, and then stuff occurred or would happen a year later, and I would be, oh, that's what they were talking about. I wonder if that video about time was talking about what we're stepping into. Anyways, I'm going to go back and listen to that. Very, very curious now. Yeah, to see what that says. Because interesting that they're mentioning it twice here. Okay, surrender to the timing, to the knowingness of the all that is, and it comes upon you softly if you listen. So that's all we got to do is be still and go internal and listen to ourselves. Yeah, and to be present with ourselves. Yeah. They go on to say, we wish to guide you gently through this process, the cocooning. The instrument of the light shall embrace you and draw you into itself and rise, rise. So this is the flash of light. So they say the instrument of light, which is the flash of light, will embrace you and draw you into itself, and you will rise. You shall be brought to the doorstep of this transformation by the illumination that graces your planet. So in other words, a flash of light brings us right up to the doorstep of change, of transforming. And they say, but it shall not pull you through. It shall take you as far as you have relinquished self-guidance and control. So that final step of jumping off the cliff has to be us. And then they say, genuflect within you, which is like, genuflect is like to get down on one knee, to bow, to surrender. Like that's like a genuflect is like a bow. And they say, allow the self to relinquish, to subdue your thoughts of fearful resistance and release what has been. And one of the things I like about that idea of genuflect is that they use that a lot with like royalty, like like a knight would come in and genuflect to the king, that kind of thing. And there's royalty like associated with that. And I think it is that idea that your higher self is the royal you. You know what I mean? Is the you that is the supreme being of you-ness that you are bringing in, and you're surrendering, showing your allegiance. That's the other thing about a genuflect, is to show your allegiance, that you are coming into alignment with that king, right? And or queen, that you are saying, I pledge myself to you. So you become part of the all that is of their kingdom, right? So I think that's multiple meanings in there. Genuflect within you. Allow the self to relinquish, subdue your thoughts of fearful resistance, and release what has been. Yeah. Upon the entrance of this illumination that comes, so when the flash of light comes, that comes nearby, not far, allow the self to be held by us. So when this comes, when the flash of light comes, the angels are going to say, all the angels support you and draw you into the center as you rest upon the glorious fragrance of self. So in other words, if you are one of those people who are like, have a hard time with meditating, if you're like, how the heck am I going to do this 3 days of darkness? Whenever I close my eyes to meditate, I fall asleep, or I twitch, or I can't sit still, or I start thinking about the pot roast, or whatever it is. They're saying the angels during this period, it may be really a different experience of meditating for you. You may find like all of a sudden you can meditate really easily, because they're saying all hands on deck. All the angels are going to be supporting you and drawing you to your center. So you may find that all of a sudden that it's way easier for you to get to that place of presence than it normally is. So that's good news. And then they say, as you rest upon the glorious fragrance of self, remember, and I like that you use fragrance, because fragrance as a sense is just, it's so, like think about if you've ever been somewhere and smelled something that reminded you of your childhood, that brought you, like how powerful, like I remember when I was in my 20s, I was on an airplane. I was working back then. It's back when I worked for Microsoft, and I was on a business trip, and I was sitting in the aisle seat on a plane, and everybody was boarding, and this woman came down the aisle, and I just was glancing, I was looking here, I was like looking at it, and as I passed my eyes by, I saw my grandmother, who had just passed like 2 months earlier. I saw her coming down the aisle, and I oh my gosh, I immediately looked back at this woman, and it wasn't my grandmother, but I had seen her, like she maybe she had her, she had gray hair, but other than that, she was not my grandmother at all. But I had seen my grandmother. I knew it. And she's been looking right at me and smiling at me. And then she came down the aisle, and as she passed by, I smelled my grandmother's perfume. And I was just, oh my gosh, you know what I mean? And I was not on my path at that point. I was like a lost puppy. But I got that incredible sign of seeing her, and the fragrance is what got me. Because I would have doubted myself over and over and over again if it had just been the vision. I would have just thought my mind was playing tricks on me, but the smell and that perfume, she wore it her whole life, and I knew it, you know what I mean? And it is one of the most powerful senses in that way, that it's immersive. And so I think it's wonderful that they say the smell, the fragrance of yourself, that it will just, it's like smell can take you back to something, to an experience in so many ways, and that's what it's going to be like. That the self, your self, it'll be like a memory of, like just an immersive memory of this is who I am. Amazing, right? And they go on to say, remembering, yes, your truth. It comes in a whisper, and we are there, and we support you. So the angels are going to help us. Yeah, it's so cool. But know the self, that this pause in resistance may form within you. So they're telling us that in this pause, even when we pause our resistance, that we may still feel resistance within us. So just to be aware of that, to be really attuned to what's going on inside of us. And they say, and we wish to draw to you now the awareness that what has been disturbing, the disquiet, this dissimilarity, what is it? From what has been the continuity. Yeah, it's disturbing, disquiet, dissimilarity from what has been the continuity. Here you must reside for a time. So they're really trying to set our expectations, that don't expect it immediately, that you might feel this way, you might feel this discomfort. It might take you a couple days to get to the state that where we can transform this, or the fact that the transformation itself, like you may be in the process of transforming, and it may just take 3 days. I don't know. It may take 2 weeks. I don't know. But don't stress it if it does. Even if it's like, this is, I'm ready to be done with this. Just try your best to stay in that quiet state and listen and be present and know that you are in the midst of it. The fact that you feel funky like this means it's working. That's the way I would look at it. Know that if you're feeling the crazy, it's working. So that's good. The 3 days, here's where they talk about it. The 3 days of separation. 3 days of separation from what has been instrumental in empowering the united behavior of humanity. So that is an interesting phrase. 3 days of separation from what has been instrumental in empowering the united behavior of humanity. In other words, all of our technology, right? What is it that empowers us to have united behavior right now? TV, right? Like our all of our social media, phones. Like, how do we connect with one another? Technology. All of that will be separated from during this period. So it'll be total, and know that we won't be able to call one another, which is why they're telling us we will be using our telepathy. That's when our telepathy comes in. We'll be able to check on our loved ones, and we will know they're fine because we will be connecting with them telepathically. Yeah, 3 days of calm, 3 days of quiet, 3 days of darkness, 3 days of stillness. So, and all that you are comes to be held internal, right? So we want to, when this happens, double down and be in that space of separation. Don't run out and try to fix whatever turned off. Just leave it off is the message, right? And within this space, unity comes, but slowly, right? So important to know. It's not instant. Be patient with yourself through this process. Therefore, we guide you. A semblance of remembering we give you. And this is where they tell us that they're going to give us, to help us during this ooze process, this cocoon, the process we're in they're calling it a 3 days. I don't know if it's a literal 3 days or if it takes us 2 weeks or whatever it is. But they're telling us during this process, they will be literally wrapping all around us and giving us an experience, reminding us of the experience of what it was to come into our bodies as souls. So they say, therefore we guide you, a semblance of remembering we give you, the breach we form around you, a semblance of remembering the stillness of uniting at birth into the harmony of the body that holds you. We gift you this peace. We gift you this peace and the separation that is coming to mold you, to hold you into the frame of reference, being guided back to your soul. So it really is a birth. This is what we're going to be going through, is just the same exact thing. It's going to be like a birth, and they're going to give us the feeling of the last birth, so in order to help us embody the new birth. Yeah. Then the last paragraph, they say, be aware, dears, the time is coming. Fear not the separation from the all that was. Become yourself in the stillness. Find within it your peace. Be yourself, your wholeness. Your heart is ready to embrace the all, and peace comes for you. This may be my favorite message ever. I think it is. I think it's my favorite ever. I love this message. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just, to me, it's like it's so specific and it's so beautiful, and the frequencies in it are so happy making. I just love it. Yeah, okay. So let me see what you guys are saying. You're saying, Rebecca's saying this made it so clear. I really love this new, deep, and clear frequency from them, from the angels. It is fabulous. Yes, me too. This is the combination of the angels with my new guide, with the Mother of Creation. Yeah, they're coming in together, and it is just, I am just loving it. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, Nikki says they are giving us the assignment for a peaceful eternity for our soul. Yes, absolutely. And you're saying difference in linear time and angelic time are like human quantities and angelic quantities. Very true. Yeah. Yeah, it's very hard to, I think it's hard for us to always understand how they see things, because they do see it very differently from how we do. So, oh my gosh, you guys, thank you so much for joining me on this one. This is one I would love for you guys to share this. If you want to share this out to anybody that you think would be open, I feel like this is actually very, very important information, because we need to know what to do when this happens. And I don't think they've ever been so clear with us before about what's going to happen in the 3 days of darkness. And so I think this is one, whether you're telling people yourself or sharing the video with them or however you do it, I would think this is one that anybody who's receptive, we want to tell people, because everybody knows, like, what do we do when the lights go out? We immediately rush around and try to turn them back on. And if we're not coming into this open eyes, knowing this, like, I don't want anyone to miss out. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think it's important. This strikes me as a really, really important information in this message. Yeah. So please share it out, and you're free to share it with anybody, and then, or if you just want to tell people, I think this is anyone you know who's receptive. Yeah, that would be my thought. Yeah, favorite message, says Dawn. So cool. Thank you so much, Rodney, too. Okay, you guys have a beautiful, beautiful weekend. I will be thinking of you, sending you tons of love, and I will see you next Friday live. Bye, you guys.